Okay.
All right, boys, be quiet.
Yeah, shut it.
I'm in the living room right next to the router this time to see if something's gonna work better.
Oh, that boy.
Here we go.
I think we're live. Yeah.
Good to go?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
It's now streaming live, it says. Hey, there you go. All
You
right.
have to mute. You have to mute last week's
Oh, it's playing last week's?
TJ. It's always playing TJ.
We're live, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey, gang, I jumped on here real quick. I got the news earlier today that trick-or-treating was changed to tonight in our neighborhood, or in our town, I guess. So I'm just going to be able to be on here for just a little bit, and then I'll jump on towards the end, too. But I've got a Grim Reaper, Kylo Ren from Star Wars, and a unicorn that want to go get some candy. So
It's a fancy combo right there.
And your doorbell's going to be ringing like crazy. People are going to be like, give us some candy.
oh no, the light's off. I got police tape out front. Nobody's coming up.
So
Is
while we
Brandon
were waiting,
jumping
we were
on?
just, Tony and I were chatting. So TJ, if you want to introduce this humongous topic
Mhm.
and run with it for a second, give your viewpoint, or at least get some juice flowing on your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I think the topic, to be honest with you, is irrelevant. I hate saying that, and not as in irrelevant, because it's a great topic to talk about. But it just comes down to the fact that if you really look at the timing in which this all comes up, you've got, 2018 was a year we didn't expect, haven't seen in a while. There's a lot of people that bought trucks, a lot of people that got into trucks and didn't know what they were doing, but were able to make money. So when stuff went downhill, they weren't necessarily, they were waiting for it to come back, and then it didn't come back. It hit the COVID time, and that's when they all started complaining because they weren't ready. So as a carrier, it's something you got to be ready for. You got to be ready to adapt to. What brokers are doing doesn't concern you at all, because money wise, because at the end of the day, they're the ones outsourcing and getting the customers and getting them set up to bring capacity. So if you don't want to use them, you can source your own shippers. If you can't source your own shippers, you're just going to have to make some relationships. You're going to have to build that. It's just part of the game. It's part of an open market. There's no way around it. If you want a regulated market, you're crazy, because you're just going to complain even more about that. So, for me, it's just a thing where, carriers, they want to make relationships when rates are down. And then as soon as rates go up, they bail on you because they go to get the better freight. So it's conversations you got to have. It's something you got to do. And if you don't do it, you're not going to make it. Beauty of it is it filters out the ones that don't know what they're doing and aren't going to be able to adapt. And listen, I don't have anything against that. So my big thing is this: if I'm saying it's filtering out the people that don't know what they're doing and don't know how to adapt, it happens. It's part of life. It's part of business. I am not saying that you don't go back, reevaluate, and get another shot at it and learn from it. But at the same time, it's just something you got to do. And business is unforgiving. And that's what it is. And you knew that getting into it. So that's kind of my take on it.
I look at it all different ways. Tony, your perspective, we were chatting before TJ got on here. So you were saying someone should just do it.
I think if I'm a broker or a load board or any other one of those providers, I would offer up this service that apparently everybody wants at a premium. I would give them what they want. I would give them full transparency for X% cut every single time. But in exchange for that, to be able to accept this load, you have to do the same back with your driver. What are you paying your driver? What are your costs? And make a voluntary community that adheres to that full transparency standard. And if there's really a desire for that, people would sign up, they'll line up, and they'll do it.
Now,
I just don't think people will.
And that's regulated by yourself then, not the government, correct?
Sure. Start an association. Make people pay to be a member. Make people pay extra or whatever it is that you want to
come up with a different solution besides having the government come up with it for you. Wow.
Exactly.
So my question is, because I'm sure there's tons more I could read and learn on this topic. How would the government step in, and would this be a per shipment type of deal? Like, how does that work? Or is it more of an auditing after the fact? Because let's face it, think of all the loads that everybody's doing in a day. Like, how in the hell is that even possible to monitor and regulate that on a shipment by shipment basis? Is it an audit?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just
I
an
haven't seen
idea
it.
right now where someone's going,
I think
I
it's
just wanna
opening
know.
for comments.
you have to just tell me, you have to tell me what it is that you're making, or how would something like that even work? And how would that not get to a shipper? And what would shippers feel like if they saw that?
Exactly. You're making what now?
Not all the time, though. That's the deal. So that's the concept I think about is when this started, it was obviously when carriers were struggling getting paid. And the fact that it's still continuing with the very high prices that are out there, it's kind of mind-blowing. Like, why would carriers even want to pursue this? Because now we're actually involving the government when it comes to pricing. So who's to say then, if I'm the government, that I'm not going to say, let's just regulate what it costs for a shipper to pay a carrier. Now everyone gets the same pay per mile. Like, what does that do to our industry then? Who would really want to work in this industry then if you're a carrier? Because if you're a large carrier or a small carrier, I mean, your operating costs are way different. Your service offering is way different. So it's the same thing when you're working with a broker. You're making that choice. Are you working with a broker that's giving you a different service menu of communication platforms, making it easier, making it great to find a shipment, fulfilling a backhaul need? It's just a kind of a mind-blowing concept to me. And to think that people would want the government to step into this much control is freaking alarming. It's
Absolutely
alarming. We already have enough government.
Give me one example of something that they've regulated that got better.
Nothing. They can't even get hours of service right.
Right. So I like the idea of transparency, but I think that somebody out there's a ton of smart people out there that make me look like a bumbling idiot. I don't speak well, but somebody can come up with this concept and prove it as a viable business. Somebody could provide this service as a premium. So if there's really that much demand, how come nobody's taking advantage of that? Like, I think Eric chimes in on the comments. He said, every load is different with a different headache worth more or less of a percent. No one can regulate that. He's right. I've never shipped the same load twice. How are you supposed to? Do they want to show an average margin that you're allowed to make? I mean, if that's the case, why are we going to get into business? If truck drivers don't want a fixed rate, because then you'll never see really nice trucks out there. They'll cut corners to make that higher margin in equipment, in safety, in whatever.
You'll lose all the good drivers too. That's the thing. What separates anybody in business is how good you are, how hard you work, how prepared you are.
Right.
Do you use your knowledge? Do you learn? Do you become better? But when the rates are regulated and all that work that I put in doesn't matter because I'm making as much as Joe Schmo across the street, who's terrible. What's the point?
Right.
Profit incentive is key to having a successful business.
Yep. Sorry, I'm changing.
Oh, it's all good.
Which one are you? Are you the unicorn?
With carriers, I look at it too. Like, we work with quite a few carriers, and there are some. I mean, we're already we're at this world that we're talking about is not my day to day because I don't have contracted freight. We operate in an expedited avenue, but in the concept of all of this, we do pay carriers more if they offer a different service. I can't tell you how many times, someone will call me, someone who works for me, and says, carrier X and carrier Y. Carrier X is cheaper. Carrier Y we love. We're going to get the service, the communication. It may be $200 more, and we identify the need that we have for that particular shipment. And it's like, sometimes pick carrier Y. It's like, sure. Can you do that? You can't do it every time because you may have a customer that is very cost conscious on that load. And there's times too that I'll tell carrier Y, hey, if you'd like to have the shipment, we need you to get closer. You don't have to match, get closer to this because we love your service and we'd love to utilize you on this load. And it doesn't work all the time, but sometimes it does.
Set up to where like there's a max buy in a load, there's a load board rate, for carrier sales. And if you have a carrier that you have logged in as basically, a dedicated carrier or a source carrier, they get it at the max buy. Like you don't have to do the load board rate or whatever it is that all the other carriers would have to start with. So, being good and making a relationship pays off a lot of times.
What about guys like me? I've been a shipper at 3 or 4 different companies now over the past too many years. I spread out loads between carriers. Sometimes I don't go with the cheapest. Sometimes I give a guy a load because they're not the cheapest, but I want to keep the pipeline open.
Right.
I know everybody else does that, at least if they're halfway decent at keeping relationships going. Maybe you're not the cheapest, but I want to give you something sometime just so that you still answer the phone when I call. What about, is there a way to prove it? Do I have to submit my invoices to an agency, like a logbook? Do I have to turn it in, or do I have to keep it on file for audit later? How does that, what's the process there
that's what I was saying too.
transparency?
I don't understand how that would actually work.
And let's say you get caught fudging your invoicing for your own advantage or whatever. What's the fine? What's the penalty? Who's going to police it? Are they going to create an entire new department of transparency?
You know how many companies do that to drivers? And if we're going to audit anything, it should be the company that you actually work for. Because I can tell you how many times I've heard you have a company, you sign on with them as an owner or operator. They are working in the brokerage market. They are literally going to a PDF editor, editing that rate confirmation and sending it to you and keeping your extra $300, $400, $500. So I think if you're going to want to look at anybody in this to start, in my opinion, they should be looking at that. And if that's even something that a government would want to get involved in,
correct.
That's where it should begin, I think, in my mind. So I don't know. Very, very interesting topic.
I understand what they want. They want to feel like they're not being taken advantage of. Everybody wants to feel like that. When's the last time you bought a used car? You always go home and you have a buyer's remorse thinking, man, I think I got hosed on that deal because my buddy got one, something like that 5 years ago, and didn't pay as much as me. So you get that feeling like, okay, I think I just got hosed. And everybody wants somebody to do something about that. And we all turn to the government for the answer. And I'm not sure that's the answer, but everybody wants that safe, secure feeling like they didn't get hosed. And that's the true answer. Is it so simple that it just boils down to having a decent relationship again? Do we just need to focus on a core group of people that we want to do business with? I don't know
what it should be. I really do. I think you're going to feel connected if you have a relationship, and you're going to understand, when times are good or bad. And I think we'll see who stands up from something like this. I keep hearing of people who are being fair to their carriers, and then carriers that are being fair to the brokerages as well as the shippers on keeping some of their rates during the times when it goes like this.
Right.
And I think if you are a brokerage firm and you're completely taking advantage of your carrier base, that's on you, and you're a part of that volatile situation that, again, does not help you down the road. So I think if companies continue to be consistent, with their pricing and holding those commitments, you'll see a different play with this entire thing. And if you don't like your brokers or your carriers, what's so cool? There's so many.
There's millions of them.
Right.
Like Eric said in the comments, if you're going to use a new department of the government to enforce this, suddenly that needs to be paid for with tax dollars, right? Because the government doesn't work on private money. So they're going to take it from somewhere. So now is there going to be a load tax? How are they going to pay for this? What's the enforcement? Are the cops going to come to your place of business and You know, who's going to do it? Is it the DOT? Are we going to have like actual commercial auditors, commercial DOT auditors?
Yeah.
Hey, while we're here, we're going to go ahead and audit you. DOT audit. I mean, do they really know what they're asking for? I'm not sure that anybody really wants anything other than the warm fuzzy that they're not getting screwed.
Yeah, I think it's just a way for everybody to say that they feel heard, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just taking that standpoint again to go, we're not going to take this. We're not going to be accepting of these types of things, and we demand justice. But unfortunately, I think it is something that will pass over.
Absolutely.
It
kind of already has.
Right. Because if you look at some of the pricing today, it's already flipped. So it's almost like beyond hypocritical at this point in time, because I've seen my team quoting stuff and they're getting, for a couple of 100 miles, someone's going, yeah, I want $6,000. It's like, get out of here. Get out of here. Stop. Don't even call us. Like,
and in March, they were complaining about not getting a couple of $100 for that same load.
Right.
So, okay, if you're good with this, you got to be good with the other side too. Do we limit the amount you can make? If you're gonna try and limit the amount somebody else can make in the deal, do we limit the amount you can charge too? That's what I'm saying about the full transparency. What if you want full transparency and you want to limit the broker's margin? Do we get to then, in turn, in an agreement with you, limit your margin as a carrier? The problem is the shipper wants to pay the least amount possible to get the load done. And as long as people say, yes, we're going to keep shipping cheap freight. The carriers want to make the most money possible, but they don't want to spend their whole day in the office. They want to be behind the wheel and moving freight. Mm-hmm. So then they turn to a broker who spends their whole day in the office, matching the two of us up. But their whole job is to make money too. Each one of those is a business that has to lower costs and increase margins. So again, it's got to come back down to having a trustworthy, decent, professional, win-win-win situation for everybody. And sometimes you get screwed and sometimes you hit a sweet spot.
Yep. Sometimes
2 of the 3 get screwed, sometimes 1 of 3, sometimes nobody. But the right answer is having a good relationship where, like buying a used car, where you go away not worrying about what somebody else paid for theirs, but knowing that you got your stuff done the way you wanted it done, how you wanted it done, at a rate that you thought was fair for what they did.
Yep.
Then it doesn't matter, because I think Mark Twain said it. I'm bringing out a TJ quote because he's not on here and doesn't have the whiteboard. This was a real quote from Mark Twain, I believe. Comparison is a thief of joy. I tell employees that all the time. If you're worried about what somebody else is making and you're not just happy for them, none of their pay comes out of your check. Same thing with, you could argue that the shipper's paying a fixed pie rate and the broker's taking portion of that from the carrier who's actually doing the work. I see their point. I get what they're saying. Go do the work of getting the load then. Don't get it from a broker. Go direct to the shipper, eliminate the broker. It's there if you want to go get it, but they don't want that second job.
But the owner operator market is typically they're working for a company, a large fleet or even a mid-sized one, or they're just an independent. So I think I've even heard, I've watched so many different shows where people are saying that they're not interested in onboarding a small 2-3 owner operator fleet when they're moving a massive amount of freight. So then these guys would have to be chasing freight around the country and not having any stable lanes. It could be that they don't have something coming back, or they got to do this or do that. So when you're looking for the convenience of your business, and that's where the brokerage piece comes in, is because they are able to source carriers consistently, even when, carrier A cannot keep that commitment. But one of my points here too is when the broker does lose $500 a load, I've lost $2,000 before on handling a shipment because I kept my commitment to my customer.
And tons of carriers have lost money on a load to get home too. We all do it at some point. I've paid way too much to have the load hauled that last week I saved half of what I paid in having a different provider do it. Everybody's everybody makes some wins and everybody makes some losses. And we hope that it averages out. And if we know how to run a business right, we prepare for those losses by saving some of our wins. And I think that's where a lot of carriers go wrong.
Oh,
When
yeah.
they feel like they're being taken advantage of, because when the market is hot, they go out and buy new chrome or new trucks or whatever, and they don't put any money away for when the market comes back around the other way. TJ said it 100 times. The brokers do it. They go out and they buy a bigger, fancier building, and they put 5 more sales guys on, and they keep going. Why don't we put some money away and conservatively grow with financial stability? Maybe I want your P&L instead of your margin.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe I want to see what's your credit rating? I don't know. There's got to be a better option than regulation.
Yeah. So I haven't looked at any comments. Have there been any comments coming in? Because I would love to hear what some other people have to say.
Tons. Guys, get on the Zoom call. Do we have the link somewhere?
Can we? I don't know if we can even bring somebody on here. I'm bad at this. Invite. I don't know. Normally Brandon and TJ run the show. Let's see if
Right. We're rookies
I don't know
over
if I
here.
can bring people on here. I mean, I could share the link. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm gonna break.
If you're
this
on
thing.
LinkedIn, get on LinkedIn and click the Zoom link that TJ shared today. Go to TJ Knudson. It's easier to search KNU in your contacts and search his page. Get on the call and tell us what you think. What's the drink of the choice tonight?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, we got some Jameson.
Oh my goodness, that's rough.
Changed. I've conquered the Jack Daniels realm, and now I'm moving up.
I can't drink the hard stuff. I'm a lightweight.
man.
If I drink it all, it's a low
Michael
volume
wants to
beer.
join. Michael wants to join, and you know I would love to have him on here. He's my dude. So let me see if I can invite him. I don't know how this works.
Guys, I told them last time that they entrusted the wrong guy for tech. I'm an old
No,
guy.
me too. That's the whole thing. Since we've started the show, I haven't had to do any of the tech because Brandon has been just completely awesome. So let me go
Brandon
hop
is our
on here
tech
and see
guru.
if I can send Michael the link. Sorry, guys. Thank you for bearing with us today. I'm pulling it up. I'm going to send Michael. Michael, you're going to get a LinkedIn instant message from me with a calendar. You can hop on here.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is the same argument that I made it onto my very first Zoom call that was broadcast with Cassandra. People were wanting to know everybody else's cost of doing business. And I don't think it's anybody else's business personally, but aren't there 10 different kinds of trucking companies? There's a guy that buys a 98 2.5 million mile truck and gets it going by himself. And then there's fleets that buy all brand new equipment. And then there's this middle-sized fleets that have show trucks. I mean, their cost of operating is way different from each other, yet they're doing the same thing. If they want to put all of their money back into that show truck with the chrome and lowered and full fenders and really cool for me to look at on the line when I see these really cool Instagram sites about trucking, which by the way, I'm a super nerd for that stuff. That's awesome. But your cost per mile is going to be way bigger than the guy with the 2 million mile 98 Freightliner that he bought for 12 grand. Michael, you're on, buddy.
Yeah. What's up? Welcome, Michael. He's probably getting his audio turned on.
Yeah. It's just, it's crazy to think that everybody has the same cost. I mean, I know it doesn't take that much difference to lease a truck, but what if I buy a brand new truck versus the guy that buys the 98 and runs a shorter route? Is their cost different? I mean, are they paying $4 grand a month in payment versus this guy that paid it off at the buy?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Do we need to know their cost? What do you got to say, Mike?
Let's hear
Hello?
it.
Hello. Hold on. I popped in. Where's my video thing? Hold on.
You got a nice picture of you. You just don't have to. Your mouth's not moving when you talk. That's all.
That iPhone 11.
There you are.
Yo. All right. What's up?
Welcome. Haven't seen you in a couple weeks.
Busy. But yeah, so I popped in here. Obviously, seems like we're still talking about the same song and dance.
Mhm.
Everybody's. I can't stand talking about it. I don't even. All right, I gotta chill because I can't. You know me, Nicole. I get it.
Come on and talk about it.
So smaller brokers, I don't really. Again, and this is just a business. This is a business opinion. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but they're going to be weak. It's just if you're not bringing anything, like people keep talking about rates, like your driver should get paid good, right? I don't even think about stuff like that. And I know I said that on a live thing, and it was taken the wrong way. Like that was like I don't want my drivers to get paid well. No, I do want my drivers to get paid well, but it's my job as a salesperson to go into a company and figure out how to increase their bottom line. Don't forget the rates, right? Increase their bottom line, figure out how to build out a model or a strategy that's going to increase profitability. And hell, I've done it where I'm 20% higher on transportation rates, but I'm still saving them. I was able to increase their profitability where it made sense. Everybody's happy. I think it's just literally stop with the fucking I give it to this person, I give it to this person, I give it to this person, I give it to this person. It's like, no, that like it's not going to, it's not a scalable model. And we can sit here, sorry, I'm getting into this, but it's like, we can sit here and talk about this daily. It's like, bottom line is like, if you're not building out a scalable model, like, I mean, when you're like from even small companies, like $50,000 in transportation, fucking using, excuse my language, but using literally 20 different carriers, thinking that's going to work. And then what happens is people are creatures of habit. That gets, that company starts scaling and scaling and scaling and scaling and scaling, and they're still using that same model. And then look, we're here. When there's a very select few, and I'm telling you, it's going to get more and more from a managed transportation side of things. It's going to become way bigger, that we're out here building solutions for companies and scaling and building scalable models, and our carriers are getting paid, right? That's above my pay grade. I don't deal with that, but our carriers are getting paid. I'm getting paid. Everybody's happy. And we're not even talking about rates, because at a point you get so low, you can only get so low, right? What do you do then? You end up again back in this situation. If you're not building any type of scalable model or solution, you're going to hit the rock bottom with rates, and then you're just going to end up beating everybody up, and nobody's going to win. And like, well, me, because I'm not going to entertain it. At the end of the day, that's the issue. That's it. That's the issue. So
Nick, welcome. I saw you hit the lobby. I'm like, come on. How you doing?
There we are, guys.
Dude,
Look,
you got a good-looking cat.
thanks.
I'm trying to get it, but I was on YouTube for like half an hour, and I was like, okay, was somebody seeing this, or is like,
right?
Yeah, were you on there?
Yeah, I had to text Nicole because I was like, literally, like, I gotta get this.
I'm like technology challenged, I guess, today when it comes to this. I don't know. So thanks for bearing with me on this one. So I appreciate it.
So
but Nick, what's your thought on this topic?
I'm like from of course I come from the tech side, but like I think, and like Tony's on a roll today, I would say, like, but like you get what you pay for, one, right? And I think and you were saying that earlier, Tony, where it's like it's about relationships, and it will always be, no matter what. If we're in a good financial like industry at this moment in time, everybody's making good money. But even when we're not, like, relationships are always important, and it will stay like this. Do we need to regulate it? No. We all want to like play open book completely. No one has ever like benefited from that. Like they've tried it here, they tried it in different industries, and it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work like that. I just think like if somebody's going to pick this up and make a like a company out of it, and yeah, for sure there will be people like jumping on that. Why nobody's done that just yet? I don't know. The demand will probably be there.
I think I agree with you on that, but again, to the point where showing, and again, I haven't done it my entire career, and not realistically going to every company and saying, hey, here's my margins. But that's the thing is pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered. I have no issue. I have zero issue telling someone, I have a customer right now, nothing big, but it's about 500 grand. I literally said, dude, I'm running 20% margin on you. Here's the contract. Are you in with this? I was able, they were getting shit on by like this other 3PL. If I could save you 20%, 23% and still run 20% margin from another bigger 3PL, we all have this, and these are blanket rates, right? But to the point was, it was like, this is my margin. This is what I'm going to make. You want to know what I make? This is what I'm actually profiting off of this margin, because the GP is going, it has to go, it's got to be split up into other departments, right? So this is what I'm making. Does this make sense? Is savings enough? Yeah, cool. All right, then move forward. It's like, again, I don't see what, like, if I could, I just don't understand why, like, that does it. Why wouldn't that work? Like, dude, this is my frick. This is, if I was literally not going to provide any type of solution to, like, this is what I'm making. This is it. Either take it or leave it, right? You can't, there's no, everyone has a number in their head, right? A company said, hey, what's your forecast or what's your budget for 2021 supply? What do you need to be at? This. Okay, cool. Let me see if I can get there. If I can get there, let's sign a contract. If it makes sense on all parties, right? It shouldn't even have to deal with the drivers, right? I'm not dealing with the drivers. They're getting paid. They should be their companies, we're going to pay them well. They should be dealing with them, right? My job is to do what I do, and that's work on the shipper, right? Provide value for them. Okay, cool. Have a meeting of the minds. Everything makes sense. I'm happy. Company's happy. Shipper's happy, right? And then boom, it just has to be literally locked in and sealed like that. You can't have, that's why you have to have executives saying, this is what we're doing.
That's your volume freight, Michael. That's your, I'm cutting you off because that's volume. So that.
Is it though?
Is it? I'm saying it.
I mean,
the volume world.
It is a volume world. So I will say this, I don't know carriers direct, right? But I do know it's like any smaller account that goes carrier direct usually are not getting great rates. And that, again, they're going to go to a 3PL eventually. But if it's just, I'm speaking from a 3PL standpoint, like, you don't, like, yes, it's not a volume thing. I mean, truckload, it's up to me. It is literally up to me. Like, we have our truckload carriers, right? We have a rate, but it's up to me to run the margin. What do I want to give this company for, right? And if the company, again, I built my book of business when I first started with companies that were doing only $50,000, $100,000 in even truckload, right? I was the one saying, hey, give me everything and I'm going to hook you up. Margins aren't going to fluctuate. This is where I'm going to be at versus, again, going out there and literally tossing it to everybody, right? And that's just, it's hard fact. It's fact. I've literally made tons of money on this, saved people tons of money. How many people save people tons of money doing it this way? And again, I don't want to get I'm not trying to say it's like shit on anybody, but I don't have to have these conversations to myself, worry. I don't worry about this shit because it doesn't affect me. Right. And I think that when people start thinking about these things big picture, they'll start seeing changes. And if not,
but this is I think what you were saying earlier, Tony, weren't you? Like the example about a car, right? Yeah. I think, and that's the same with this. You're worth what people are willing to pay.
Right.
Right. And that's it. For this great example about this post must be flying around like LinkedIn about this dad that before he passes away, he says to his son, I'm leaving you my old car, but before you, I want you to sell it. But before you sell it, I want you to go to this place, and this place. So he goes to a scrapyard and says it's a scrappy old car. So it's they go and they say, you know what, we give you $100. And then the dad says, okay, that's great. Now I want you to go to an auction. You go to an auction and then, it reaches at like £1,000 or whatever it is. And then he's like, okay, now I want you to go to a collector's fair. And someone says oh, you know what? I'll give you $150,000 for it because it's actually a really rare car. And that's what it is. That's the same with this. Whatever someone values you at is what they're willing to pay. And exactly. If someone all of a sudden steps in and says no, we tell you what you're worth, then I think that's a dangerous game.
Absolutely.
Because then a lot of people will step in, and then
I mean,
what are you left with?
There's a lot of yes men and yes women in my side of it, right? It's like, would you like, I forgot where I saw it, but it's like, let's just use dating, right? Like, I would never want to date someone that's literally like, yes, anything you say, I'll do, right? And same thing in health. I don't know any woman that wants a dude that's like, I'll do everything. Like, have a little bit of like, know your worth, right? And it's like, again, I know there's tons of people out there that feel like they have to go that route because, again, maybe financially they're not stable, and I get that, right? I feel for that, but truthfully, it's like what did Gary Vee say? It's like, dude, I'll give you that's why I'll give you free cost analysis. I don't care. Like, you're not paying for that. You pay for me. Like, you get direct access to me. And again, I know my worth, right? And it's like, I've been shit on, and I've been in situations where it's like, I've done everything that I would do for a customer that actually does appreciate me. And that's where you like you said it. It's like when you start having people tell you like, nah, we're going to treat you like everybody else, but we expect to get the service and that boutique service that you're giving your customers that do treat you well. Don't even call me. Don't even come back to me, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when shit hits the fan. If your process is screwed, and I see it time and time again, doesn't mean I get their business, but at the end of the day, it happens more than you think. As a broker or any type of salesperson, like, dude, stop undervaluing yourself. Like,
where does perception come into this? So let's say I think you're making too much money, right? But I don't know your cost. I don't know your cost, right? The guy driving the show truck with a $4,000 a month payment on it versus the guy driving the 98 old worn out Freightliner that it paid for with cash. I don't know your costs. So if I think you're getting too much money, what if you're just barely making your payment and keeping fuel in the truck and your insurance going versus the guy with the 98 turd that's making money hand over fist and putting it all in the bank?
You think I'm making too much money though? Like, that's, if I ask you this, okay, you think you're hypothetically, you say, Mike, I don't know, man. I think he's making too much money, you know. But is it hurting your business if I'm making too much money? Is your stuff still getting there?
Exactly.
Are you still profitable?
Exactly. That was my whole point. Perception. I don't care. I want everybody to make a ton of money, just not off of me, and that's what everybody else wants.
Well, yeah,
they just want to know that they're feeling safe, that they're not being taken advantage of, that they're being responsible with their assets and money and budget that they're responsible for to their bosses. Everybody's got a boss, whether it's a shareholder or a guy or a girl or whatever. We've got to answer to somebody, and we've got to be able to say that we're getting the best bang for the buck. We're making the most money that we can and spending the least amount that we can, or whatever the case may be. So in the case of those two trucks, the show truck and the old 98 with 2 million miles that's paid for, you could pay both of those guys the exact same rate. One guy's going to bank a bunch of money and the other guy's going to make a truck payment.
Well,
which one's wrong?
Well, we're back onto the smaller scale of things where we're talking about rates. Like, that's not where I'm. Again, I get where you're at, but I'm not focused on that. It's like, to me, it's more or less like, hey, we're either going to work with a bunch of 3PL carriers direct. We're also going to pay a TMS company, software company, to utilize their TMS, or we're gonna, hey, Mike, maybe we pay a little 10% more in transportation, but he's given us a TMS for free, integration for free. We get a dedicated team, and he was able to build out a solution that was scalable and save us over 25% all in year after year.
But isn't that the argument that they're having? Is people are making too much money? They were saying the brokers are making too much money. That same example. Brokers
that are like on the phones 24/7 looking for freight. Like, yeah, I see that all the time. It's like, no offense to you guys, I'm sorry, but it's like, if I get into a company at the right level and they're doing that model, I'm going to win that company. I'm just going to, because here's what happens is, and I see it. Let's just talk LTL. Your rates shouldn't be fluctuating with LTL. You shouldn't be having one time same lane R&L with 3PL1 is, $100. Same lane next week, same company, R&L, $180. Same lane. That's an issue, right? So it's like those kind of brokers that are literally transactional, they're the cancer. They're the ones who are, literally making a lot of money or trying to make a lot of money, because guess what? They look at things on a per shipment basis. I get paid just like they do, right? I get paid on the margins I make from the shipments, but I just so happen to get everything, right? So that's why I'm not going out there and beating up, a company saying, hey, I can run, 8% margin on a $5 million account. I'm getting everything, right? Versus the broker that is literally getting trying to fight for, a few loads a week. They're going to want more money because it doesn't make any sense to get 5% of a $150 shipment, does it?
Yeah, but I mean, Michael, you're saying something about the whole trucking industry and brokerage, and it doesn't operate under your model. There is a actual business. I mean, it's part of it. Even a shipper will come across a shipment last minute or just not planned, or customer service changes something, and it does go out to market, and it's funny, Nick, when I saw you in the lobby, my first thought was, here's a person that we should really be talking to about regulating something that's important, and that's our damn environment. And we're so focused on these stupid rates when we should be really changing the world we're living in, instead of making sure that we're able to put fuel in our gas tank for that minute and take advantage of somebody. So it's our priorities in this country sometimes, and really probably all countries, is just whacked. It's
everywhere. It's wherever money is involved, which is every industry, which is every country, you will get this. And there's always people that will make more money than others. There's always people that take advantage of situations, and you just need to see in which camp are you and where are you. I will never step out of line of my ethos. And if I feel like, for example, if I believe that with what I do, the value I bring to my customers, if that means I make, a shitload of money out of it, that good on me, right? And it's the same for anybody else. If they provide an amazing service and add value to their customers, and you make money out of it, is that not all what we want? Everyone wants that.
Sure.
I think if you just said it, it's like, I was pretty young, and I remember it stuck with me. The CEO, I said, how much do I have to save you? How much do I have to save you? Right? I was just nervous. And he goes, Mike, a shitty paid sales rep is a horrible sales rep. What kind of margin? And that's when I first learned open book, right? Showing someone, it's like, he understood it, where it was like, I want a sales guy that's going to be happy about the account he has. He saved me money, but I want him making money. So he's going to give me that boutique service, right? I always thought about that. It's like, but to your point, Nick, about I think it's just also the person who, how you were brought up. There's accounts that I could run 40, 50% margin on some of these. I just can't feel comfortable. There's just something in me that just, I always say, if pigs get fat, always get slaughtered. No matter, even if I'm giving them all these bells and whistles, I still don't feel comfortable. That's just me. I don't feel comfortable.
Well, and you also know too, at some point in time, as that company grows, that you're helping them grow, they could go out and reprice against you, and you look like an asshole. I mean, it's possible.
Exactly. I thought you were changing, my guy.
I changed so I could go trick or treating.
It took them a while.
It's freezing outside. But I got a Snickers, I got a Payday, and I got a Kit Kat, because you got to put the Kit Kats in the freezer.
Oh yeah, you do. Reese's in the freezer too. Have to.
10-4 on that one.
Oh yeah.
So what do we talk about, gang?
I don't know. Michael just got all sorts of woo.
Fucked up.
Hey, I've been cooped up on meetings all day. I
loved it. You can bring it anytime you want. I loved it.
Absolutely. Both of you. Great content.
We have Nick looking like Johnny Depp this evening.
He does.
Please, this is recorded, right, Tony?
What's that?
This is recorded, right? Because I want my wife to hear that again.
Oh,
Johnny
yeah.
Depp.
Like,
Yes,
look like-
you're rocking the Johnny
Yep.
Depp look today.
you kind of look like Eddie
Absolutely.
Depp, Johnny's smarter brother.
Are you guys, am I right or am I right? Or is it just
I
me
can,
no,
totally.
making him look like Johnny Depp to me?
No, I'll take that. I'll take that any day.
All right.
Subscribe to the channel. Have her subscribe and replay. There you go.
Tony,
Exactly.
always selling, Tony, always closing.
Yeah, that's what ABC.
What did Michael touch on?
Thanks,
just
Chad.
pricing. He, explaining the pricing concept and go ahead, Michael. Let him know. Let him know what you did. Bullet point us.
Just rewatch the show tomorrow, TJ.
That's fine. Yeah, you don't have to go back over it. Just touching on that, but
Bro, everything you already know. Like you follow me enough that you already know what I'm ranting about. But at the end of the day, I can only speak for myself. I don't know. Again, my business model, I get that is not clearly, very minimal. Most people don't, it's focused on just managed transportation type of things. But again, I just think I just keep seeing the song and dance. Like this isn't the first time. This isn't the second time. This isn't the first year, right? It's like I mean, you guys have been in this industry probably way longer than me, right? I've only been 8 years. I've seen it since 2014. There's always been these talks, and it's like, you ever talk to someone about a problem, and again, you seem to always keep coming back in circles and circles and circles, and nothing gets fixed. Well, I think that's I'm not going to be the person that fixes it. But I think that's an issue, and I think as a whole, someone just needs to figure out what step is next to fix it for them or whatever it may be. Because again, these things are just going to constantly happen if you don't ever provide any type of solution or test out a solution. Right? It's like just test something out or fix something little by little.
the thing is, it's an open market. So here's my big thing is, well, it's an open market. Quit worrying about everybody else. Quit worrying about fixing it for everybody else. Fix it for yourself, right?
Oh.
So you know as well as anything, right, that you got to make relationships to kind of have that volatility protection. Well, guess what else? If you're the type of person that sits down in a business world and says, "Hey, what else could I do with this?" Think about it. You talk about pricing. Go to a customer when you're pricing it and say, "Hey, how many carriers or brokers have come to you and said, 'Hey, I've got 10 carriers lined up for this lane already. I've got 10 carriers that I know the owner's number to that are on this lane. I got 10 carriers that are out of this region I know can drop 3 trailers at least right off the bat. I've got carriers over in this area. I've got carriers over in this area. I have that carrier network. I have those relationships." And now think about it from the carrier side. You're thinking, all right, I can make a relationship with a broker just to try to get in with get pricing and have protection. No, that's what you get. Now that broker's taking you with them to go price. They're bringing you business. They're putting you right out front, using you as that Trojan horse, that way to get in and say, "Hey, this is what I have carrier base wise." But instead of people wondering, saying, "Hey, when brokers are carrier sourcing, they talk to the dispatcher. Dispatcher doesn't give a shit. He's not going to listen to you at all. It doesn't care. He wants to go home. Get the owner on the phone. Get the manager on the phone. If you're a carrier, talk to the manager or the owner at the brokerage. The broker rep that maybe just came out of college, it's got 2 months in, he doesn't even know what carrier sourcing is. He should, but
Tony, I drew a blank on your name, TJ. So again, you're a very operational, you know them to the T, right? I look at it as sort of it comes back to mind again. It's okay, we're looking to go into 2021, let's just say, and what's our plan, right? What's our strategy? What's our budget? Well, I posted it on LinkedIn one time where company was forecasting to have well over $100 million in chargebacks just as a part of doing business, right? Chargebacks, but they needed to go drive down transportation costs. Mind you, didn't even think about the chargebacks. Over $100 million in chargebacks was going to chalk that up, and now they need cheaper rates when it was a simple of maybe the rates aren't the rates. I don't think are an issue. If someone came in here and was 20% more, tightened up your carriers, got you better relationships, but was able to provide you a root cause analysis of to why you're getting those chargebacks. And I'm not sitting here and saying that we're going to literally eliminate all those chargebacks, but if we were able to kick you back, figure out what's causing those chargebacks and kick back, 15% of that $100 million, you think that's going to be a lot more beneficial for you than driving down, rates that, again, I couldn't imagine even a company that big is saving, buku bucks with an RFP an annual RFP, right? Versus having a logical conversation, thinking about these things from, you know, those chargebacks and really dialing into that and putting money back in their company from that standpoint, and not having to beat up a bunch of freaking carriers and get cheaper rates. It's like, no, you have to think from all angles. I get
It is cool that you're educating people on that, because there are companies that don't understand how to do that, what goes into that, how to audit these things. And that's great. And that's a really cool spot for a managed trans
anybody can do that,
to step into that.
So here's the thing is, it's like, I do, like, these are things like, there's a limit to, like, in my company where managed trans comes in, right? I have smaller customers. This is me doing this on myself. This is me staying up, going into Excel, building out these things. This is me having to literally the past 8 years figure out these things, right? It's like, so a lot of people always want excuses. I'm not the smartest person. Hell, I taught myself how to literally build out dashboards on Power BI for my customers. I got customers that are doing 200 grand a year. They're not going to get that treatment. Again, there's buckets. Well, I'm going to give it to them then and show them, hey, this is what happened. So it's like, if you want to be different and step outside the box. If you've been in this industry for X amount of years and you still are constantly focused on your rates, it's not your company, it's you. It's the sales rep. It is you. I don't care what. I could work for Joe Smo, no technology. I can go hop on Excel and put something together to drive value inside my customers.
If you're bringing that something different, or that if you've got the knowledge, you've dug in and you know these things, you just got to expect the fact that you're going to get no's. There are just customers out there that's what they do. That's their model. They're going to beat people up, brokers and carriers, and use them.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about like giving tidbits to you guys, like not you guys, but like to the broker that literally is wondering why they're having to get beat up all the time. Well, take it, like, I know I'm going to get heat for this from multiple people. I don't really care. You know, though, you could take a step back and say, okay, well, guess what? Let's Google what other things impact the supply chain or a company, right? Is it outside of rate? What can I do? And Google's going to pull up multiple different things, and that's where you have to think is, okay, well, this is the model I'm doing right now. Is it working? What should I do? How can I tailor this? What can I do? And it's like, no one's really wanting to do that. They just want to keep coming back to this and talking about it.
My point is, though, like, if you have that, though, you're going to hear the no's. You got to vet your shippers as much and your customers as much as they're vetting you. You got to be like, hey, I'm not going to waste my time. You got to be efficient. Like, if these guys aren't going to listen to, I already know their model's been that model for 30 years. They're going to listen. Hey, here it is. You may revisit it, but like, and you're going to hear more. No, a lot of times more than what you would if you were selling on price, because a lot of customers are still in the old mode. So they're going to maybe list you on rate, but they won't list you on your new idea. But there are, for every X amount of customers out there, there's 3 or 4 that are looking for exactly what you have. You got to be able to find them, though, and you know what I used to do. And when I first started in sales, it was like in finance and stuff. But my old manager used to say, jot down how many no's and how many yeses you get. It'll be unbelievable how in perspective it is. You'll have it down to like, where for every 16 no's I get a yes. For every 55 no's I get 1 yes. If you track it, it's unbelievable how almost accurate it is. To where, try it. And I did it one time, and so I knew that if I had 30 yeses that week, I had to get 15 more, or 30 no's. I had to get 15 more no's, or 25 more no's for me to get a yes.
Oh yeah, I'm all about
it's unbelievable.
I'm 100% with you. Like, my wife used to run her own sales company, like direct sales, and like I learned like down and dirty sales. The guys knocking on doors and the guys on the streets like that. That taught me everything about sales. And I, like, to be honest, initially I looked down on people like that. Like, and that's not like, I can say it now, but like literally that, what you just said, like my wife always used to say, like, you need to get triple digits to get double digit yes. So, and like on the street, you need to speak to or stop 100 people to get at least 10 people to the to your little pot or table or whatever they had, and then they would close 3.
Oh, that's yeah.
It's like bang on the box. Like, if you do that every single day, then you will know for a fact you will get. And that's where I heard the first time about that. the card, the deck of cards. You know, when you've got you let someone pick the 4 aces out of the deck of cards, and it's like, you know that those 4 aces are there. They're not going to disappear, but you just never know when you're going to get them. And that's the same with this. You just need to just get your nose, just get comfortable with getting those nose, and then
That's what Aaron just in the comments. She said, "Oh my God, 30 no's to get 1 yes. I don't want to go through that." And nobody does, but that's what sets you apart. And
It's all
that's a
situational
bad thing,
too,
Aaron.
though,
You'll
like-
learn that. You'll learn to get comfortable. I talked the other day about putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, putting yourself in those situations that you feel uncomfortable in, because then you can master them. A lot of times it's just confidence in yourself.
The quicker you get comfortable with no is your friend. Without no's, you're not going to get yeses.
Right. You got to get there. It's what Babe Ruth struck out 1,335 times, but everybody else knows how many home runs he hits.
Exactly.
A good batting average is 300. I mean, that means you failed 70% of the time.
I'd be willing to bet you. I see it. You know, if I'm huge on metrics, I preach about the first company I ever been with, Worldwide Express. If you made it, if you worked for them, they just dominate in sales, right? We started going business to business, door to door. I literally would get like, you're canned if you don't keep these metrics. Like it's a boot camp, but they produce true sales people. And I moved around a little bit after that, after like 5 years there. I see 90% of salespeople don't even have a general idea of what it takes to get to X amount of goal. Like everybody, the metrics are great, right? But metrics are situational for everybody, right? What takes me an hour to get a meeting might take someone else 3 hours. But knowing those things helps you plan, right? Like you said. And it's just
too. I'm sorry, like you can have a sales rep that's just dialing 1,000 times, and if they're just making a bullshit dial and they have no intention,
like
you got
it's literally, and it's not even the salespeople's fault. If we want to get on this topic, it is literally.
I know, and I always ring the bell. We're getting there, so we're a little bit after.
I'm not like, if you're a manager watching this and you're not even like, that's another topic, right? That's why I always say, is like, I'm not some sales coach or anything like that. I know what I know and good at it, but I always say pay it forward. Like, you know how many garbage managers? I was lucky, right? And I worked for some pretty lucky ones too, but luckily it was after I was already scaled into my career. But how many garbage managers there are that just turn over these freaking reps because they're the ones that are pieces. They're garbage. They don't build out any type of roadmap. They just say, hey, guess what? There's $1 million in the USA I hid. Go find it and expect that rep to get there. So it's like, it's garbage. But yes, any good sales rep that is going to be consistently, if you find me a sales rep that has consistently scaled his career, money, whatever it may be, year after year, and they haven't kept any type of metric or roadmap, please introduce me to them, because everyone I know that has.
Michael, that's exactly true. You're so right, and that's why we bring on leadership gurus, and we have them on here every couple of weeks. It takes good leadership to do sales. It takes good leadership to do freight. It takes good leadership to do trucking, to shipping. Everything you do, it takes amazing leadership. So we bring on people who can teach us how to be better leaders.
Yeah.
But that's what it is, isn't it? What you do is you look at the other person, and like, for example, for me, like I'm quite new in the logistics industry, and I just look at, like from a tech point of view, but I'm not just listening to tech. Like, for example, like I love listening like to Michael and what he's got to say, and TJ and everyone. But like, what was I only going to listen to people that were talking tech? That's beside the point. I need to know the industry. So, and I always say then is, if you would trade places with the person you listen to, then you listen to the right person. When you get to the level playing field, look for somebody else, because then you want to get to that next step again. And I think that's the greatest point, where you look up to someone. I don't want to say I look up to someone, but I've always like tried to like just get all the information out of someone I can. And then, when I think I've learned it all, or in a sense, like I've got everything I needed, okay, I'll move on to somebody else. And not meaning like, I'll put them at the trash, but I mean, like, this is where you then get yourself a business coach. And and why you've got someone that can train you up to this level, but you don't stay with that business coach. When you're up to that level, then you get somebody else. Like if you want to make it to the NFL, you're not going to get with an amateur trainer and say, get me to the NFL, because he will never be able to.
It gave me chills, Nick, like saying that, because I was in my head, I was like, I would say his name, Sean Layton, right? Still, he is the best. I can't, like, it literally, I would not be where I'm at today without him, but he was to the point where he helped me from the start, right? Here, we're going to go door to door. He was literally the guy doing it, making the calls. He was, and he'll say it, he laughs. He's like, you know, he's not the best spoken, the sharpest or whatever like that, but he knew sales and he did it. And everyone, I wanted to follow that guy. Literally, he will tell you that he's like, oh, you're going to get better than me. I didn't give two shits about that. I'm following this guy because he's doing it. And even in 2014, most managers that I even looked at, even in the company, were doing shit while this guy's out here till 5:30 in the afternoon, walking industrial parks with someone that's brand new, showing me, hey, listen, I'm not just telling you to do this. It works. I do it. But, and then it was like, then you scale, right? Then you got to find that next person, because it's hard, dude. Because then it's like I got into management, and luckily for me, I had a good leader I was reporting to, but it's a different ball game, and it's just, dude, it's so hard to find that next person to the next person, because.
But the right person will tell you, won't they? Like the right coach that you have will say, okay, like, you know what? Like, I can't teach you anymore. You know, when it's sales, for example, like what you're doing right now is like you're at my level, or like whatever it is, and like you need to find somebody else that can bring you up to the next level.
So I think we have our next topic then. It's how to scale yourself. Not even how to scale your business. How do you scale yourself?
Well,
things.
Do a promo. You sounded good on that.
Did I? Scale yourself. Yeah.
And that's like when we touched on the, you know, the leaders and the good leaders you had. I put it in a video the other day about it. A lot of these problems and issues we talk about really come down to that. I mean, you've got, you know, entry level, you know, brokers talk with entry level drivers, or, you know, there's no talk with the management, you know, there's no, you know, there's no, that. So we're talking about we're talking about debates between people that are on the front lines and their experiences. At the end of the day, their experiences are all really dictated about what their culture is and how they're taught how to do things. And if you latch on or get lucky enough to get one, you latch on to the right leader, it changes everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
And we know that too. I mean, I've been around people where they'll say a company name, and we all have our perceptions, right, of certain company names. And that's due to the fact that you know that leadership operates in a non-traditional way. And so then when people start working underneath that leadership, you start questioning that. And that, I mean, again, great topic for another day. We are completely over our time, gentlemen. So thank you, Nick. Thank you, Michael, for joining us.
Thank you for
Nick saved me again. Mike saved it. Hey, trick-or-treating was fun, gang. It's cold.
What'd you say?
Created the passion. We don't care about rates anymore. Should I say that?
Yeah.
Great.
Always.
Scale yourself.
Everybody go
You don't
make
care
money.
about rates. Hold my beer.
I'm allowed to go. Scale yourself with Nicole.
Nicole's book will be coming out next week on the show. So
That'd be great.
come
All
back
right, we're
next
going to
week
see you
at
guys
Thursday.
soon. We want to have you both back on soon.
See you, gang.
I'm down.
Thanks for having me on again.
Hey, send me that email, TJ.
See you guys.
TJ. Send me that lead. I'm going to call that out on live.
I got it. I just talked to him today.